Sorry for the technical difficulty here. I'm just starting out trying a brand new streaming platform. So thanks for your patience with me. Anyway, so today I wanted to talk about something fairly important. So I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the average CEO reads 4 to 5 books a month. 4 to 5 books a month. Whereas the average American is only reading 0.11 hours a day. That's less than 7 minutes a day, folks. It's a big discrepancy. And if you've been following me and my work for any amount of time, you'll know that something that I preach and I live by is the fact that if you want to live an extraordinary life, it requires extraordinary action. And hold on, I just got to notice that having difficulty going to Facebook. Hold on. Sorry, guys. This is crazy. I want to make sure it's going out right. Oh, man. Why are you not going live, dude? I'm not sure what is going on here. Sorry, guys. I'm not sure why it's doing that. So hopefully you guys see this, hopefully not. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to kind of start over because I feel kind of bad with the technical difficulty. But anyway, here we are. So on average, CEOs read 4 to 5 books a month, whereas the average American's reading less than 7 minutes a day. And truth is, if you want to have an extraordinary life or lead an extraordinary business, it requires extraordinary action. And this is truly demonstrated by CEOs' reading habits, right? Because a reading habit is an action that you take in order to improve yourself, to learn more, and to always be working towards, constantly improving, right? And reading habit is one of the easiest ways to go about making a change quickly, because education is free when you have libraries and you have books. Reading is available to everybody, regardless of your, socioeconomic status. And by adopting a reading habit, it's one of the quickest ways that you could find yourself more success than you already have today. So a little bit about me. My name is Corrie. I am a business strategist, coach, and professional speaker, and I help small business owners reduce overwhelm. I also have a reading habit myself. I spend on average, actually, let me take that back. It's not that I spend time. I read on average 2 to 3 books a month. So I'm not quite at the CEO level, but then again, I am a single mother and I'm running a business myself. So whatever free time that I do have available to me, I do try to go ahead and do some reading. So today, the purpose of me wanting to jump on here live is I wanted to share with you what books that I read between January and March of 2020. So I read 7 books in that time frame, and some of them you may actually want to add to your reading list because they are all business and personal development books. And I'm going to kind of go through a recap of each and every one of them today and give you kind of a little bit of a review on each one. And if it's something that sounds interesting to you, definitely click through on this post to my blog where you'll find the links to go ahead and buy each one of these books and add it to your list. So first one up that I'm going to be talking about today is called Profit First. Profit First is by Mike Malkowitz, I believe is how you say it. And this book was actually a game changer for me. So for me, I'm a creative at heart. So anything with numbers is genuinely difficult for me. It's not that I'm not good at tracking KPIs and tracking metrics and stuff like that, but anything that's heavy on math and finance has always been a challenge for me. So one of my big goals for 2020 was going into this year, I really wanted to learn how to manage my books and manage my accounting myself. And Profit First came highly recommended to me through a few accounting professionals and friends I know in the industry, as well as through my research in finding different types of systems that would help me better manage this process for myself. And so the way Profit First works, it's basically an accounting methodology where instead of having one account and accounting based on GAAP principles, which is very, very, very common in business accounting in particular, instead, you more or less kind of strip out your profit first before you spend your money. So in traditional accounting, what you're doing is you're, taking your revenue, you're minusing your expenses, and what you have left over is your profit. In Profit First, you're doing the exact opposite. So what you're doing is you're stripping out your profit first, and then you're running your business with whatever you have left over. And for me, this has been a game changer so far in my business. And so I learned how to do it through this book, Profit First. You could also find Profit First accounting professionals that are certified in the system. So if this is something that sounds interesting to you, I highly, highly recommend it. And yeah, I'm going to add that one to my list of books to recommend. So the next one up on my list was, hold on one second, Chasing the Bright Side, which was by one of my speaking mentors, Jess Ekstrom. And let's go back to here, Chasing the Bright Side. So Chasing the Bright Side is a collection of short stories, I guess is the best way that you could describe it, from Jess's own personal experience. And through the story, she shares a variety of different lessons that she found more or less in positive thinking that she has then applied to her business and to her life in general. So if you enjoy inspiring stories, motivational reads, reading stories of real people and their struggles and challenges, definitely Chasing the Bright Side is one to add to your list. It was a very, very quick read for me. And then again, I read really fast, but for me, it was a quick read. And many of the stories that Jess shares in the book, she's shared in her keynotes before. And all in all, if you're just looking for a bright, positive, uplifting book, this is a really, really good one to add to your list, especially with everything going on right now with COVID-19. Definitely recommend you check it out. So Chasing the Bright Side by Jess Ekstrom. All right, you guys are so patient bearing with me as I learn how to use this new system. All right, so the next book up on my list that I read, and there we go, Essentialism. This is a book by Greg McKeown, and it's Essentialism, the Disciplined Pursuit of Less. And to give you kind of like a little bit of background, why I even added this one to my list is coming into 2020, for me, a big focus for me was I wanted to learn how to get better at being focused. So one of the challenges for me as a creative is when I have a great idea, I really want to execute on it right away, which then has me working on a variety of different projects kind of all over the place with I don't want to say no direction, but the variety of projects that I'm working on aren't always necessarily aligned with what my true priority is at the moment. So in order for me to learn a better way to be able to handle this, I decided to go ahead and read this book. It came up as highly recommended by a few folks. I know, I think I read it somewhere, Sophia Amoroso of Girl Boss had suggested it in a lineup. So I thought, well, why not? Let's give it a shot. So what Greg walks you through in the book is learning how to prioritize within your work and your life what is truly essential, and defining strategies to make sure that you are really only focusing your attention on what is truly important. So it's a book on minimalism at heart, which I absolutely love. If you've been following me for any length of time, I talk about minimalism quite a bit in both my work and my life. And Essentialism is a fantastic book if you are overwhelmed and you're not sure where you should be focusing your time and your efforts. This is a great one to start with. So go ahead and add it to your reading list. All right, next one up is Your Money, Your Life. This one is by Vicki Robin. And, again, like I had mentioned earlier, one of my big goals for 2020 was to become more engaged with the money and financial side of my business. And it wasn't just with my business, it was with my personal life too. So I generally do not like numbers. I do not like math. And I really wanted to make a conscious effort to kind of tackle this fear and really kind of dive in and learn better strategies to work with it. So one of the reasons that I really liked Your Money, Your Life is it's not a typical personal finance book. The thing that I found really interesting, it once again has that underlying theme of minimalism. But what it does is it teaches you how to best prioritize your spending based on what's truly important to you. And as a result of doing so, you can actually find that you have access to funds that you didn't even realize you had access to because you're spending it on things that aren't necessarily important. So a great example of this right now would be, with us all being inside right now with the COVID pandemic and being in quarantine. I don't know about you, but your spending habits might have changed when you're not out and about all the time. For me, it didn't change a ton because truth was when I had made the decision to start my own business almost 2 years ago now, I specifically wanted to create a business where I was working from home and I had autonomy on my time. And because I was already working from home, I'm not constantly out on a regular basis, commuting or, stopping somewhere for lunch or picking up random errands and stuff. So as a result of that, because I don't have all that external kind of stimuli, I'm not spending money on things necessarily outside of the house at the same rate as somebody who does commute does, for example. So for someone who's looking to create a lifestyle that's different, deciding whether or not your job, as an example, you might actually save money by quitting the job and taking a job that pays less if you're taking out of the equation what you're spending on commuting, what you're spending on professional attire, what you're spending on, personal development for that job, so on and so forth. So I really, really love this book for that fact. It kind of walks you through how to get a really great overarching picture of everything that you're spending money on and what changes you want to make in order to make it better. So again, highly, highly recommend it. Your Money, Your Life by Vicki Robin and Joe Dominguez. All right, so next one, and this one is a must read if you are looking to get into professional public speaking. I couldn't recommend this book more. It's The Successful Speaker by Grant Baldwin. And let me tell you why. So, as I mentioned before, I've had a few different mentors when it comes to speaking. I haven't been speaking all that long. I've been speaking less than a year professionally at this point. But it's due in large part by the mentors that I brought on, as well as classes and books and different, resources that I've made myself, I've gone out and found. Now, The Successful Speaker does a phenomenal job in kind of filling in all the gaps that you can't necessarily find elsewhere. So Grant does a really wonderful job in walking you through the entire speaking business from start to finish. So you could be somebody who has basically just a great idea for a story you want to go out and share. And he walks you through how to structure your speech in a way that is compelling for others, how to market your speech, how to find out who would pay you for your speech, how to do the business side of it. So Soup to Nuts, it's a fantastic book for anybody who's really, really interested in getting into public speaking, or if you're just starting out like me or relatively newer to the market, you might learn some new tips and tricks as a result of checking it out. So again, that one's The Successful Speaker by Grant Baldwin, and it's another one I would recommend. All right, so next up is called Deep Work by Cal Newport. So Deep Work ended up on my list in part due to me wanting to become more productive with the time that I spend working. That's one of the reasons that I had put Essentialism on my list. So Deep Work ended up on the list for the same reason. And Deep Work specifically focuses on how to get into that state of flow where you are hyper efficient in the amount of time that you spend working. So in the book, Cal Newport talks a lot about, identifying when you're most productive during the day. Some people are morning people, some people are night people, and creating systems and strategies to make sure that you are fully focused on whatever the task is at hand. First, so for some people that might be, turning off the internet, if you're a writer, for example, turning off the internet and only focusing on your writing. Or for others, if you're working on a specific project, it might be that I think this example came up in the book, or I might have read it elsewhere, but as an example, I'm totally blanking out on her name right now, which is a shame because I've done this before. The woman who wrote the Harry Potter series. So she was on a deadline for, writing her book, and she had a very short amount of time in order to be able to do it. So what she ended up doing was she took a room at a high-end hotel in her neighborhood and locked herself in there for a week and finished the book. So her strategy was changing her environment to make her more focused. So it was different strategies like this that definitely make the book a worthwhile read. So go ahead, check it out. Again, that's Deep Work by Cal Newport. And last but not least, this one's going to round out my 7 for today. The book TED Talks, The Official Guide to Public Speaking. And this one, you may or may not know, I am now a TED Talk speaker. I received notice in early January that I was going to be giving my very, very first TED Talk at the beginning of March, sorry. So this book was actually recommended and mandated as reading by the TED organization itself for all of their speakers to make sure that we put together an appropriate TED style talk, because it is slightly different than a keynote. TED Talks max out at 20 minutes, where traditional keynotes max out at 60 or more, sometimes depending on the type of talk. So TED Talk is very lean, it's 20 minutes, it's focused on a big idea. And through this book, they really walk you through how to hone on that very, very important key idea and how to best interpret it through a live speaking engagement, whether it be just through, your storytelling, through the visuals that you use, even through audio and other types of experiential tactics that you could use through your talk. So very, very worthwhile. I had actually read the book a few years ago when I was working in corporate America, because I wanted to be a better speaker to best motivate my team and motivate my colleagues at different events that we were holding. And it was great to actually come back and reread it again. So this was probably the only book on my list for January through March that I had read twice. But again, highly recommended if you're interested in getting into public speaking. If you aspire to be a TED speaker one day, this is one that you definitely must read. So that actually rounds out the 7 books that I'd recommend. If you had to ask me, for only 3 that I felt that you should add to your reading list, it would be, especially if you're a business owner, definitely Profit First. And then I'd also probably recommend Essentialism and Deep Work. Reason being, as I feel that in the small business world in particular, we have a tendency to, number one, pass off our accounting and stuff to other people. So it is very, very good for you to really know your numbers inside and out. So Profit First is great for that. And then in terms of, Essentialism and Deep Work, these 2 books give you so many strategies on how to become the most efficient in what you do possible. So it allows you to better serve your customers. It allows you to, better be a better leader for your employees, and to focus on the tasks that really matter in your business, which ultimately, when all is said and done, is bringing in revenue and bringing in customers, right? So those would be my 3 picks that you definitely should read very, very soon. And also, I wanted to throw out there too, if your primary challenge in starting a reading list is, or starting a reading habit in general, is just not having enough time. I hear that so often, as a coach that focuses on small business overwhelm in particular, all the time I'm hearing, Corrie, I just don't have time. I don't have time. Definitely tackle that excuse head on. And you're going to want to go to my website. I'm actually going to create this really quick so you can do it. You're going to go to www.corrielowe.com/5 tools, 5 hours. And when you do that, you will receive a free download, PDF download, that gives you my 5 favorite tools that you can use to automate your business. That'll shave 5 hours off your work week. So with those 5 hours a week, you could be doing a lot of reading and a lot of personal development to make you even better at what you do. So I highly, highly recommend it. Check it out. And yeah, that's it. So next week I will be back on here live. I'm actually going to be coming on with a guest for the first time. So definitely subscribe to my email to get notified on who I'm going to be speaking with. And I'll also be posting shortly, very soon, so you guys can opt in to subscribe to get the updates on when I go live. So really, really quick, I'm going to go through right now. We did get a few questions that came in live. Oh, and it's David. Hey, David, sorry I'm catching these really late. So yeah, it was Essentialism. So David was asking what the name of the specific book was, and it was Essentialism. So hopefully you find value in this. Great. So if you have any suggestions on topics you would like to see me go live on next, definitely be sure, type them in the comments. I will be checking them all day today, as well as throughout the week. I'd love to hear from you. And if you know of a friend who would find value in learning about these different business books, definitely be sure to go ahead and forward them this. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it. And I will talk to you next week. I hope you have a great week. Take care.